Hi, thanks very much for clicking on the video link and welcome to another in our series of idle chats. This is for the American Bar Association's Section 4 Dispute Resolution, and like the name implies, these are truly idle chats. And today I get to talk to a colleague, Mark, in Ventura County, California. How are you, Mark?
Great, Natalie. Great. Excited to be here with you.
Good, excellent. So Mark, one of the first things that people are going to notice is that right off of your left ear is in big words, the word ombuds. What is an ombuds?
An ombuds is kind of a unique role within the ADR world. It sort of is the on-scene conflict management advisor, assistant in mediating, coach, conflict management system design person. Typically, for me, it's within a university. Often an ombuds can be externally focused to serving larger communities, but I serve within my university staff and faculty and just helping navigate or manage conflict in whatever way that looks like.
Okay, so it might start out as just a heated conversation or go all the way up to an actual dispute or conflict.
Yeah, I think, often it's just someone has a heated conflict or heated conversation. Somebody says something in a staff meeting and they're really struggling to figure out how to repair the damage, or it can be looking more systemically at, the way that a program or an idea moves through the system and seems to keep getting, or ideas keep getting kind of shut down. So it's sort of whatever level the conflict is, whether it's discrete or systemic, we strive to be there to help, like I often say, we're like kind of the lubrication in the system to help things move along without judging what the right result should be.
All right. I can get on board with that. I would really get on board with that if you said that all of those meetings could be held at the Strawberry Festival in Camarillo.
Well, yeah, we got good stuff there. It is tasty.
That's how you get to resolution. So, all right. So, Mr. Patterson, I have drafted about 120 completely interesting but inane questions for the Idle Chat series. And so we will give our cards a little shuffle and see what comes up.
Drum roll.
The big drum roll. Are you feeling the tension?
Yeah, this is cool.
Totally stressed out? All right, so our first question, what's the best sandwich?
I have a thing called the griddler. I have to admit, I'm kind of an inveterate kitchen tools, gadgets kind of person. It drives my wife crazy that I have to we overload the kitchen with, but I have a thing called the griddler, which it's what it sounds like. It's griddles things, but it's got two heated sides and you press together. So my favorite sandwich tends to be, I like sharp cheese, and I'm vegetarian, so I get like a meatless meat and some spices and spicy cheese, and put it on the griddler with a little bit of butter and get that toasted feeling. So it's so you kind of get the savory flavor, but also a little bit of the kind of the heat and the crunch to it. So that's my favorite. So pick your favorite fillings, but the griddler is what makes for an awesome sandwich.
Right. That sounds like the perfect comfort food. All right. Mark, next question. What was super cool when you were young, but is definitely not at all cool now?
Well, I'll go with not a huge surprise, the old mullet. When I was in high school, I didn't have really long, but I did have kind of hair halfway down the back of my neck, and it wasn't really short on the side, so it was not like the classic mullet, but definitely longer in the back. It was a cool enough thing when this was the early 80s to be able to even just like do anything other than feathering your hair down the middle. So this was kind of a way to be a little bit rebellious, and it felt especially cool. A girl that I had a crush on had a seat behind me in class and would sometimes like play with a mullet in the back, and like, oh man, that felt like I was I was the king. I was cool stuff. Of course, now, the mullet is like, a meme, a classic, oh my gosh, kind of thing. And I think all those pictures of me in high school have been destroyed. So, my kids aren't laughing at it, or at least they're buried somewhere in my parents' basement. But that was the thing, right? To have that, kind of sexy hair in a way that you look at now and think, oh no.
I had the big bangs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Lot of hairspray. I feel your pain. Yeah, I feel your pain. But the mullet, that's a good one. All right. The next question is, what is the hardest you've ever worked?
There's so many different kinds of work, but I guess I'll go with what first comes to mind. And it's one of the things I often go back to as getting through hard times. So when I was in college, I had never really even seen this before, but I started the sport of rowing, of crew. And crew is the kind of sport where the more smooth and clean it looks, the more agony that the rowers are in. And it's also a sport where people are depending on you. You feel like, I can't do anymore. You're going to get hit in the back with an oar. You got to keep going. And the intensity, it kind of combines the intensity of all-out sprint. In fact, it starts off with a sprint that you then have to basically just carry through for 6 to 8 more minutes of a typical race of explosive as well as endurance type energy. And so I can vividly remember before some intense races, it felt like my whole life was focusing in on that 6 minutes that was up ahead. And I can vividly remember times where I thought, I'm not going to make it. I am literally going to collapse in the middle of this race because the intensity, anaerobic demands on the body were so hard, and yet I never did. I made it through those races, and it was incredibly painful, and yet I can look at that and say, not only was it, something I survived, but survived together with other people who were similarly in agony, and to feel those rare moments, and they have to admit they were rare, where everything was kind of swinging together. If you read the book, The Boys in the Boat, it talks about the swing. And it's that feeling where despite the pain and agony, that you can almost feel the boat lifting out of the water and all the oars are moving together. And that feeling was magic, even in pain. So I kind of looked at that intensity of that suffering in the boat was kind of matched with those unique moments of working together and creating some kind of special moment. So I think that's it for me.
No, I can see that there was great poetry in those moments of brutal work.
Yeah, it is something kind of poetic about the whole movement. It's unlike any other sport, that it's both the ultimate team sport. No one person wins a race, but it's also very individual, and that you have to get into yourself to keep moving and to be not just getting through it, but balancing your body. Every movement you make has an impact on everybody else and how the boat moves. So it's control.
Okay, next question, Mark. If you were given $10 million to open a new museum, anything that you want to open, what kind of museum would you create for yourself?
Kind of like the boundaries are off. I like anything you can do. Of course, we talked before in Southern California, lots of neat, unique little neighborhoods too, and a good environment for my idea would be, maybe I'm drawing upon, before what we're doing now, a storytelling museum. A museum that captures the best of people who are gifted, and maybe interactive options too, like how to build a good story. And I'm thinking stories not in nothing against the written word. I love literature, but this is like the kind of, like the moth, like get up on a stage or a TED Talk, microphone and nothing in between you and the audience. People celebrating people who are just gifted at building a story, as well as helping people tell their stories themselves. I think that would be a kind of a cool cool museum, the Storytelling Museum.
All right, Mr. Patterson, rubber hits the road with this one. Coffee or tea?
I have become, I'm going to riff a little bit on this, a big fan of kombucha. Kombucha made from tea. It's a fermented probiotic drink. So about, I guess 5 years ago now, I broke my ankle, had surgery, we got an infection and had to use some heavy duty antibiotics to take care of the infection that had gotten rooted in the surgical implant. And after that, I just started having a lot of digestion problems, like burping and things that just would kind of come upon me. And somebody suggested kombucha, a probiotic drink, as a means of helping maybe restore some gut health. And so since then, I've become like, and I literally just finished one before we're talking and make my own. And it's kind of creepy looking because a kombucha comes from, it's fermented through a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast, the SCOBY. So you have a tea, sugared tea, and you put the SCOBY in with it, and over the course of a week, it kind of ferments and creates a powerful probiotic mixture. And then I will add a little fizz to it by giving it some additional sugar, and I usually put fruit and other things in there. So not a coffee or tea drinker, but I am a kombucha lover and even make my own kombucha, which the kids.
All right.
It looks gross, but it tastes great.
That works for you. I think that's great. I'm going to stick with my, good old fashioned Italian espresso machine.
No kombuchas for you yet, huh?
your version sounds like a lot of effort for somebody who needs a little jump start in the morning. All right. Now, this one is admittedly one of the more divisive questions that I drafted for the series, and that is whether or not pineapple has any place on a pizza.
Well, to answer this question, I have to say I am glad my middle child is a big fan of pineapple. But she doesn't like pineapple ham, which is the Hawaiian pizza. She likes pineapple pepperoni, but it's got to be fresh. So I would want to honor that choice. But for me, no way. I do like some vegetables unusual. Like when we lived in Korea, particularly, Koreans love all kinds of amazing, interesting things. Like a sweet potato was one of the favorite toppings of pizza in Korea, but not for me. I like a little salt and I like a little bit of spice, but pineapple, no.
Not on board.
I won't say it's forbidden because I want to honor my daughter's choices, but I ain't touching it.
Fair enough. You probably would not like what I like then. I like pineapple and jalapeno pizza.
I might possibly make an exception because I do like a little jalapeno on. That's with jalapeno and tomato or mushroom. But maybe if you had a really good thin crust New York style pizza, I'm with jalapeno and pineapple. I'd taste it.
Yeah, the sweet and the spicy. That's where I like to live.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mark, if you don't want to share this answer, that is fine. We won't tell your employer. But if there were any other profession that you could practice, so you're no longer an alms bud, you're not, or an alms buddy, or an ombud person, or an alms buddy. If you weren't that, what do you think you'd be doing? What other job do you think you might like to try?
Well, Natalie, I think, maybe having been now in Southern California for just a couple of years, but it's starting to get into my imagination.
You want to be a player on the Dodgers?
No, my baseball skills have never been solid enough, even for much backyard or no, it would be of a screenwriter. It kind of comes back to the story thing. I like the idea, but if somehow turning one kind of story into a format, a template for a visual presentation. I don't think I could necessarily make money at it, but I listen to a song and I imagine how would that fit with a scene. or I listen to an audiobook or read a book and I imagine how would I visually block that out, or how would I create something that can be translated to a different format. So I like the creativity aspect and the story aspect. So I think I would imagine being a playwright or a script writer.
Very nice. Very, very nice. I like that one. And after all these years in ombuds work, probably have some pretty good stories to share.
There was a TV show, I think, that was pitched, and Amazon had picked it up. It was going to be the ombuds, and I think it kind of died in the pandemic. But the idea that somebody who is helping others get through conflict without, and all the kind of weird things that come up without necessarily being in the middle of it, is kind of a unique perspective. And I do, that's one thing I like about the work, is it's kind of like, as a lawyer, it's not your money, it's the client's money. So some of the personal anxiety is off.
Right. Yeah. I think it's good work. Good work. Good. Absolutely good. Well, it's been a pleasure. I hope that if you're watching this video, you enjoyed my conversation with Mark, and check out another video. Thanks very much.
Thanks, y'all.